Hello, my name is Ethan Penry, and in this presentation, I would like to discuss what I consider to be a landmark court case in tort and liability law, Liebeck versus McDonald's, 1992. The case saw 79-year-old Stella Liebeck as the plaintiff, suing McDonald's for damages that she had sustained from their extremely hot coffee. Now, it's important to note, for the reference, that McDonald's was still doing quite well in 1992, just as they are today as a multinational corporation. A New York Times article had seen that their earnings per share had jumped 11% between quarter four in 1991 to quarter one in 1992, as well as an increase in revenue in the same time period of $70 million. So it's safe to surmise that McDonald's was doing quite well, and they had attributed most of that success, according to the same New York Times article, from cost reduction efforts as well as a diverse menu range. However, that cost reduction effort on their part might have been their ultimate downfall with this case, as it displayed a lot of callousness when they were dealing with this poor woman, Stella Liebeck. When she had asked for $20,000 in order to pay off her medical bills, McDonald's offered only $800. The question you might be wondering at this point in time is whether Miss Liebeck even had any grounds to sue McDonald's over something like this. Is it really McDonald's responsibility to look after each and every cup of coffee that they sold to a customer after it's left the place of business? A lot of America was asking the same question at this point in time, and critics were casting Miss Liebeck as a sort of greedy opportunist looking to make a quick buck. She was even a sort of punchline in a couple of jokes in pop culture. She was referenced in a Seinfeld episode as well as a Toby Keith song. Granted, according to NPR, most of these sort of pushes to cast her as this sort of villain were most likely funded by tort law reform enthusiasts, people that were looking to cap the amount of damages nationally that a company should be liable for in the case that they are found guilty of negligence. No matter what people said about Miss Liebeck, however, her injuries were quite real, unfortunately. She had received third-degree burns on her inner thighs and her genitals, and had to receive skin grafts over a period of 8 days in the hospital. However, it took her 2 years to fully recover, so to speak, in this case, after the incident, and sat humiliated in court as her counsel displayed images of the affected areas to the public, the jury, in order to persuade them of the danger of McDonald's coffee. According to the Wall Street Journal, one juror went home and told his wife and daughter to never again drink hot coffee in the car after seeing the gruesome images. The same article reported, however, that McDonald's was keeping its coffee 20 degrees higher in Fahrenheit than the competition around town. This was according to research performed by Ms. Liebeck's legal counsel. And it's for this reason that they found that they had grounds to sue McDonald's for a defective product being sold, either because it was too hot or because it was improperly labeled and there was a lack of warning about the danger of the content. The fact of the matter is that McDonald's coffee is not fit for consumption at a standing temperature of 180 degrees Fahrenheit. During trial, the defendant did go ahead and say that this is a fine temperature for coffee to be at because that there is effective labeling on the coffee cup itself that does tell the customer that the contents of the cup are hot. The efficacy of those warnings, however, was called into question during trial, however, when a testimony from a quality assurance executive at McDonald's said that they receive multiple lawsuits every year over the same issue that Ms. Liebeck was facing, and that their answer was never to consult with burn experts or to look into more effective warnings on their packaging, but to ignore it because evidently there are more dangerous things to worry about in a restaurant, according to Mr. Appleton, the executive. The jury, however, began to wonder at that point what is more important than customer safety in a restaurant setting? And the testimony from Mr. Appleton, the executive, ended up backfiring for McDonald's. The callousness that McDonald's and its leadership displayed in dealing with Miss Liebeck's case and many others like it ultimately persuaded the court to side with her in the case against McDonald's. Ultimately, the court did elect to award Ms. Stella Liebeck some damages, but they were capped by state law, and so the judge limited those damages to be only $540,000 for punitive damages. Eventually, Ms. Liebeck and McDonald settled for an undisclosed amount outside of court, and McDonald's did change its hot cups to better reflect the danger of the contents within them. Even today, though, however, McDonald's still receives numerous lawsuits every year over burns suffered from the contents of these drinks. And that begs the question of whether these punitive damages really go far enough, in my opinion. I think that they don't. Obviously, if McDonald's had felt that there was a more painful punishment, they might actually respond to it. They might have this sort of stimulus in order to do something different with how they operate their businesses. But $540,000 was not a lot to them. In 1992, $2.7 million was 2 days of coffee revenues for the company. That's how much the jury wanted to award Miss Liebeck for her damages that she suffered against McDonald's. The judge had to limit it to $540,000 because of local state laws. Those laws, in my opinion, are put into place arbitrarily by these tort law reformists and are archaic in the age of the multinational corporation, which makes such vast sums of money. Can you imagine, even in 1992, $70 million? It's inconceivable, especially to the average purchaser of a McDonald's cup of coffee. So it's my opinion that while this was a victory in tort law, it was a small one, and not exactly significant enough to mean anything in the grand scheme of things, because today we still have the same thing happening. Thank you very much for listening to my video presentation, and I hope you have a wonderful day.